I'm David of Metal Wani, and today we are joined by the frontman of Motor Sister, Jim Wilson. Thank you for joining us today, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. So, recently you've been working on this Motor Sister debut album called Ride, which is due for release on the 6th of March in the UK. So,
Yes.
there's a lot of history that leads up to this venture with Motor Sister.
Yeah.
Initially, obviously, there's all the history with Mother Superior.
Mhm.
But initially, the project was set up as a jam event by Scott Ian. That's right, isn't it?
That's absolutely correct. Yes.
Brilliant. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll go back to the beginning real quick and just say that, I was a main singer-songwriter for Mother Superior for years. It was a trio from Los Angeles. We had some ups and downs and some ins and outs, and, we had some good things happen to us, like we were chosen by Henry Rollins to be his Rollins band for 5 years,
I see. Yeah,
and
yeah. So is that all Mother Superior members then in the Rollins band?
yeah, he took us. He came to us and said, "I want you to be the new Rollins band, but I don't want you to stop being Mother Superior either." So for a short time, we were Mother Superior and Rollins band. We
I
actually
see. Yeah.
did tours where we Mother Superior opened for Rollins band. So we
Right.
were like doing like, yeah, it was too much. We were like sweat. We lost like 100 pounds each on that tour because we were just sweating so much.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
Yeah,
So
but
how did the other guys feel then about you doing this project at the moment?
well, I let them know. But when it was the end of Mother Superior, we stopped playing together in 2008, and it was a second drum. We had been through two different drummers, and like I said, there were a lot of ups and downs and a lot of frustrations that come with being in a band for over 10 years,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
especially we never really. I'm not complaining at all. We always had great times and great things happen, but sometimes it did feel like we never got one step ahead. We were always kind of one step behind because the record labels looked at us as a rock and roll band, and at the time, rock and roll wasn't the best category to
Right.
be
Yeah.
put
Well, obviously,
into.
yeah. Well, it's sort of like the '90s and everything. Absolutely.
Yeah, the '90s were full of like grunge bands, and they
Yeah.
also then kind of had the like Nine Inch Nail bands too, and
Yeah.
we
Definitely.
the reason that yeah, and the reason we were what we were is because we played what we were. We weren't trying to be something else. So anyway, the frustrations of the original band didn't end well.
Right. Yeah.
It was kind of like and I have nothing against the older guys. It's just that they were all frustrated and wanted to sing. We did like 10 albums worth of material, and I was a singer, and I was a little bit fussy when it came to the other guys saying, "Hey, I want a song too," so maybe part of that is me, but I felt like I was also at the end of the band. I'd been working with Daniel Lanois, who's the U2 producer, who's worked with Brian Eno. So I was
Yes.
I was getting involved in these other musics and these other worlds of music.
Yeah, I understand. So it's sort of just naturally fizzled out then in that kind of
Yeah,
sense.
and I think that maybe a little anger from the other guys has come towards me because I kind of walked away from it rather than I couldn't
Yeah.
see the what do they call it, at the gold at the end of the
Right.
rainbow or
Yeah.
whatever. So I saw like other opportunities to do other things, which included working with Scott's wife Pearl. Like she wanted to write songs with me, and because of Pearl, her dad is Meatloaf, and I got to work with Meatloaf, and I got to sing on his record, and it led to a
So I
bunch of
mean,
different
like
things.
career wise at the time for you, that worked out very well then, by the sounds of it.
Exactly, and in the early days of Mother Superior, it was. I think we were very lucky that Henry did take the whole band because it helped keep us together. But as time went on, you realize we can't do everything together. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I would.
The soul
So
isn't there.
I yeah, and I played with you being from the UK, you might know of the band Sparks. I played guitar with Sparks whenever they
Okay.
needed
Yeah.
a
Yeah. I am
guitar
aware of
player.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, so things like that were happening, but I just kind of walked away from Mother Superior, and then I did a solo record a couple years ago that I had purposely tried to do kind of different sounding stuff on it. Sparks helped me with the track, and I didn't want to make a Mother Superior record on my own.
Yeah.
And then I knew that Scott Ian, I mean, I've known for years, even before I knew Scott Ian, him and his wife Pearl were coming
Ah,
to Mother
cool. Yeah, so
Superior
you
shows.
did actually
Yeah.
have like a previous relation with Scott then, because
Oh,
I've read here that
yes.
Pearl sort of got you involved in, because this is sort of Scott's sort of idea, isn't it, to kind of get you together, and it's evolved into
Yes.
obviously now doing this as a full, well, as a band and everything.
I,
Was
I mean, I've been in parties with Scott and Pearl, like, we've been hanging out at their house or something, and they'll put the iPod on shuffle, and then all of a sudden a Mother Superior song will come on, and he'll say, "I'm a huge fan of this stuff." So that one
so
day he called and said it was his birthday party wish to just play through it was like his dream to be
oh,
in the band for one night. And I said, yes. I said, that sounds like a blast. Let's do it.
great.
And
So it wasn't really too much of a surprise to you then when you got that call from Scott or from
no,
Pearl.
I
That
think that Scott always has little celebration parties, and he always has music involved, bands, or his friends will get together and jam. And also, I should say that Joey Vera, who's the bass player of Motor
Yep.
Sister, he mixed songs for Mother Superior, and he
Okay, yeah,
mastered
I was
two
going to
of our
ask if
albums.
so obviously then you knew Joey before. What about John
Yeah,
then?
Johnny's the only one that I didn't meet until the party or the day before the party.
Okay,
But
so how did he get involved in the project then? Is
he's
he Scott's friend
he's
then?
been
Or?
friends with Scott and Pearl for decades now. As he's known Scott since Scott's New York days, and he was also a fan of Mother Superior. So Scott was aware of that. I never met Johnny, but the first time that even before I actually met Johnny face to face, I was getting texts from him saying, "I can't wait to play these songs." So he was ready to go. So I was just
So,
for me. Scott said, "I have a bass player, I have a drummer, and I have me on guitar, and Pearl's going to sing. Will you come and sing these songs?" And it's like,
wow.
okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that must be a very humbling experience then.
It
I mean,
was, especially when we got to play together, and they knew I didn't have to do anything. It was kind of just I just had to make sure that I knew the words to the songs. That's all I
yeah,
had to do.
was it kind of was it odd for you kind of playing these songs again then with a load of like a new group of people?
A little bit, but I think because of Mother Superior being a trio, anytime that we recorded, I always had to add a second guitar for solos and things.
I see,
So the
yeah.
the coolest thing is having Scott be the second guitar player. So it's made the load
Absolutely, yeah.
easier for me.
Okay, so
And
did you have to rewrite any parts just to kind of add Scott in and stuff?
we did, and the other guys too. I told them, whatever you feel, don't feel like you have to be locked into the originals. I'm totally into trying new stuff, and John Tempesta is such a monster, and he's also a great double bass. But he has a double bass pedal,
Yeah,
so there's parts of things on the record that weren't.
yeah,
If he was doing something really cool, we said let's make that twice as long, and then like on Head Hanging Low, I remember there's
yeah.
a middle section of that song, and Scott really liked that middle section. He said, "I always thought that it should have happened twice." And I said, "Well, let's do it twice." So the new version has that part twice, which it wasn't like that on the original. Things like that. I was totally open to having everybody else feel as a part of it as they could.
Excellent, yeah, and just sort of breathe new life into these tracks
Yeah,
too. So like, how did you then go about choosing which songs to put on the album?
I didn't, and that was the best part.
Yeah,
Scott did. The album, the 12 songs that are on the album are the exact 12 songs that Scott picked for his birthday party.
I see. I
Uh,
see. 'Cause, I mean, the energy of the album is really high. Like you can really tell that you guys are really enjoying being part of the project.
Thanks. I know it's cool. I mean, John sits down behind the drums and just goes, and you just want to like turn it up and like face him and rock it.
No,
We all come
absolutely.
from the AC/DC, Kiss, Humble Pie. I mean, we Thin Lizzy.
Well, I
You
think
know,
yeah, I can really, to me, it really, it really drips with the kind of the UK classic sound, really.
I'm a
Like
huge
huge
fan
pentatonic
of
riffs and like
UK music. Yeah, yeah, totally.
absolutely. So, and I've read here that you've recorded your album in 2 days. Then,
Uh-huh.
why was that? Like, how did you guys do the recording process? Is it very similar to kind of just how just jamming it through, or can you tell me a
Well,
little
I
bit more
think it
about
was
that?
because we didn't have a whole lot of experience together as a band, and the party went so well that the idea, Jay Rustin, the producer, he was also at the party when we had the original party.
Yeah.
So he kind of came in saying, I don't need to do much. We don't need much time. And all we need to do is get the band in a circle and record the exact same way. And that appealed to the record label also, because to them it was like, we want to see this record happen. And then Jay said, well, guess what? We can make this album really fast and really cheap, because we were doing it old school style. We weren't going to do it the way bands do now, where the drummer goes in for 4 days and puts down.
I think the album really, really sounds better for it as well. I mean, obviously that's how things were recorded more in the 70s, which is a lot of where
I do too.
Your rooting is from. And even like some of Scott's guitar tones as well added on top, to me, kind of even has like a bit of like a proto metal feel, even like a Judas Priesty sort of edge on a couple of tracks, and especially the way the leads work on the album as well. I mean, was it easy then to capture that initial energy from the first night over this 2-day recording?
And I also have to give credit to the original Mother Superior band, because I think in a different way we were the same kind of band where we could, if you walked into a room, we would be playing, you would say, wow, everybody sounds really great. But when it came time to recording, we used to record Mother Superior albums the same way, quick and cheaply, but not because we wanted to, because we had to, because we didn't have any money,
Absolutely.
So we would rehearse to the point of like, okay, we have 2 days to record, let's get in there and do it. So I think that the energy of the original music was because it was a band playing together live. So we had to continue that to make these songs still have meaning.
Yeah, still with that fresh-faced energy.
Or the fresh, fresh is a key word,
So I mean, also I've been listening to this album about the past week, and I feel like your guitar, especially your guitar playing style, and even your vocals, has a very, very soft and very bluesy appeal. So how do you find having quite a group of metal people behind you? How did that sort of affect you, and vocals and all that kind of thing?
Well, I think it actually makes it easier as a 4-piece, because when we were a trio, I mean, Pearl's in the band too, so it's a 5-piece, but I mean, with 4 guys playing instruments at the same time, we have to find a balance, and we're much better musicians now than we were when we were younger, so we have respect for each other, so we find a balance together. Whereas in a trio situation, the original band, everybody was trying to fill up the space because there were only 3 of us, so we would turn up louder.
I see, you're fighting each other a little bit more.
We were fighting each other, and even vocally, I would have to fight over top of the band. My voice would have to overpower the band. So now the band is just as powerful, just as loud, but I think it's a little more dynamic. So I can find my ins and outs of singing over top of it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's quite a dynamic album as well. I mean, you kind of dip your feet into kind of quite a lot of different kind of classic sounds, don't you? I mean,
yes.
Really,
and I think that when the original band was first making music, I think that there was a void. There were a lot of hard rock bands, but one of the things that I felt was missing was I love soul music like Motown, and I grew up not only on rock and roll, but I also grew up on the Temptations and all the Marvin Gaye. So I've always tried to put a little bit. That's represented
in the album as well, isn't it? I'm sorry, the name of the track slips my mind, but there's a very Motown-y track in there, actually, isn't there?
Yeah, probably thinking of "Fool Around" is
there we
maybe
go.
The one you're thinking of. Yeah, we called our first album, the first Mother Superior album, we called it the Heavy Soul Experience of Mother Superior, because we knew we were heavy, but we also wanted people to know that it just wasn't bashing. There were some melodies and some, soulfulness.
Yeah, absolutely. So last Thursday, that was in Brooklyn. That was your first show, was it not?
Yes, it was.
So how did that go?
It was it couldn't have went any better. I mean, it was a great. I walked into the club. At first we weren't sure where they were going to book us. Me and Scott were going to do a bunch of press in New York, so we told them let's have a show while we're there. Yeah. And it could have been some huge venue, but it was a nice little black box, the 300-person rock club. So I knew when I walked in, I said, we're going to pack this place and we're going to kick its ass,
Absolutely.
And it's kind of exactly what happened. We had a great sound guy who really knew what we were trying to put across, and we could hear everything. So it was, I hate to say this, the hardest part of the night, I think, was just catching your breath because everything goes so fast. You know what
absolutely. I mean, I've read a couple of reviews of the gig, and they've all been really, really great. But the audience, I mean, what was the audience reaction like? Could you kind of tell? Because obviously you could see everyone's faces right up there, I'd imagine. What was the audience like? You know, would you see there was like some old Mother Superior fans there, or some like Anthrax fans there? It must have been quite an odd grouping of people.
It was exactly that. And also one thing that I was very happy to see were some girls in the audience because, a lot of times in the old band and even from playing with Henry Rollins, it was always a lot of dudes. So to see girls kind of dancing and smiling while you're playing, that's pretty cool, you know what I mean? And then we had a couple at the front of the stage that for like 3 songs were head banging their asses off, like literally in front. So that was kind of the Anthrax part of it. We definitely had some metal people too, and again, I think that like good hard rock and good heavy metal go hand in hand. I mean, people call
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, people call Black Sabbath a heavy metal band, which they are, but they're also just a great like rock and roll band too.
But I mean, the same thing with obviously bands like Cream or especially like Deep Purple.
Yes, Deep Purple, great example.
Or even obviously Led Zeppelin. There's every kind of characteristic sound in that. Different even parts to folk, and which I think is really important, and I think that's really what really cements this as a really great album because obviously there's a lot that it can kind of cater for, and especially if these are the tracks you're going to be playing live, it's not all just like the same thing, just pumping every track.
No, it's true. And every time I play a solo, it's different every time. It's loose like that. And if we get to the end of one of the songs and we're all jamming, we have eye contact with each other. If we want to keep going, we'll keep going. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of band where we can. And I guess the songs kind of have a history, and the other guys in the band kind of know the songs well enough that it seems like we've been playing them for a long time, but we haven't yet.
It must be a little bit odd in the sense that those songs must mean kind of very different things to everyone in the band. Obviously, you've been there since the beginning of, when all these songs came about. But obviously, this is one of Scott's favourite bands. It must be that must be quite odd. It must be all very individual of what, Mother Superior, but ultimately what Motor Sister means to each individual member.
Yeah, it is, and I'm happy that Scott picked the songs for the record because that probably would have been really hard for me. But another thing is that when I started Mother Superior as the singer, I told the guys I need to write all the lyrics because I can't sing things that I can't relate to, and not even that the songs aren't about me, but as a songwriter, I tried to make the songs make sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well,
so we never had any lyrics printed in the Mother Superior album. So when it came time to do these songs in the studio, Pearl said, "Can you print out the lyrics for me?" So she was reading the lyrics and going, "What does this mean?" Or "Is that what you're saying there?" So it's kind of cool that way too. That the songs that I spent enough time on the words originally that they still can hold up now.
Brilliant, absolutely. So everyone in the band is going to be quite busy this year. I mean, if you've only just done your first gig now, do you have any actual plans to tour this album at all?
We do. We've been talking about it. We have 2 shows in California in March after the album comes out, and then Anthrax was already booked for a tour, and I'm going on a European tour with Daniel Lanois in May. Right. So we're all back home in LA in June, and we've got a booking agent that's trying to piece together summer gigs. We're going to do a bunch of major U.S. cities and then try to hop on a festival or two wherever they'll have us. And the UK is definitely on the response we've been getting from just people that we've been talking to, we know that we're gonna have to play the UK ASAP. Absolutely. So everybody in the band has said whenever the schedules work, everybody just handed in all their schedules for the summer, and the booking agent is working on it. So
yeah, I mean, but by the sound of these tunes, it's absolutely the perfect thing. That obviously, it can work in a 300 tiny venue, but I can definitely see this working in huge open air festivals. They are big tunes.
That's true. No, it's totally true. I can't wait to play. I said that earlier to somebody that we could probably open for the Chili Peppers and then play a 200-seat club the next night, and both would be really great.
Absolutely.
What I mean?
Yeah, you can't really go wrong. So does this mean? Do you reckon there'll be any plans for the future? I know obviously this album is still yet to come out, but do you have I mean, do you reckon there might be another album or anything like that eventually?
We do reckon. We finished recording the album 6 months ago or whatever. So the record company has been trying to find the right time to schedule it in.
Absolutely.
But it's been done. So ever since we recorded, me and Scott have been talking about wouldn't it be great to come up with some new stuff. And Scott even has a couple of the old favorites that he still wouldn't mind. So maybe the next time will be like 80% new and a couple two from the catalog too. But since we've had this downtime in the last 6 months, I've been collecting guitar riffs, and me and Scott are going to get together and try to. He's really excited to write some rock and roll stuff with me because the stuff he writes with Anthrax is always metal, So he's really excited to be able to come up with some original rock and roll. So bring it on, bring on the future. Even if we weren't in a band together, we would all still be hanging out as friends. So it doesn't seem that much different.
That, a group of friends sharing a few beers, playing some instruments, and just having fun vibe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I think that really definitely comes across in the actual music itself.
Oh, good.
So just lastly, Jim, if you I've just got one more question for you. If you could define Ride in just one sentence, what would that be?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a bit of an on the spot, I know.
Yeah, but what I would like to say about Ride would be if you like good music and you like to sing along and maybe groove a little bit, then put on Ride and turn it up and come along with us.
Brilliant. Cool. Jim, thank you. You've been really great.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad we got to talk. Sorry that I was a little bit late.
No worries.